Hello and welcome to Art School Live. My name is 𝗲𝗍𝗁𝗍. I am guest hosting for Eric Rhodes this week. And today we have a fabulous guest, Paul. So Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and nice to meet you. I don't think we've ever met before.
This is our first time meeting. Hopefully there'll be many more in the future. Paul, what is it that you're going to be? Oh, I think we're having a little bit technical difficulty. Hello. Hello, welcome back. So Paul Kratter is a lovely artist. I'm so excited to meet him today. And Paul, what are you going to teach us today?
The importance of the sketch, and I have some old examples of where it came from. I almost do this for every painting I do. So it's really, really important to emphasize this, and hopefully I can help a lot of you people out there do better sketches and think a little bit more about what you're doing and still have fun with this process, and obviously when you get to painting.
All right, that sounds wonderful. Let's get the show going.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Okay, so I am not, in fact, Eric Rhodes. He's away this week, but my name is 𝗲𝗍𝗁𝗍. I am the director of the School of Atelier Arts, and I will be guest hosting this week for Eric while he's off on one of his art adventures. And today we have a wonderful guest, Paul Kratter. So Paul, welcome to the show, and we're ready to just dive right into the sketching situation.
That sounds great. Just before we start, I don't know if you noticed, I've got, yes, I am dressed, but I did wear black pants and a gray and white shirt, and just to emphasize value, and that's one of the most important parts of what I'm doing. I'm going to show you just a couple of just brief things so you know where my sketching style came out. This was a piece I did at Art Center many decades ago. It's pen and ink, and I way back even in high school I did a lot of these. It's a one hatch style, but it's I ask myself all the time: is it white? Is it gray? Is it black? And I usually have a couple different values of gray, but they're usually fairly close together. Couple other. This is like pen and ink, but it's called scratchboard. And again, it's you can see definitely the black of the ink on this board, and then you're scratching into the surface. But it's really important. Obviously, you're not working with color at this point. And at one point, I was thinking about going into wildlife, trying to be a wildlife artist. Though I did, even though now I am doing more of that. These are just rough pencil drawings of some ideas, and then taking one of them and making more of a finished sketch for a bigger painting. So let's get started here. Mandy, if you have some, I'll just show you a quick. I have probably 25 of these sketchbooks with all kinds of sketches in here, Yosemite and whatnot. And people ask me all the time, how come I don't see any bad sketches? And it's because I'm not proud of them. I throw them away, I tear them out and throw them away. So let's get started here. And Mandy, if you could relay any questions that the audience might have, or if you have, please ask away. And then I know obviously this is just a ballpoint pen, nothing fancy, a nice little sketchbook. And then I'm going to talk through this whole process, and then I'll hold it up closely so you can see what I'm doing. I have two reference photos. I'll talk about those in a little bit. Obviously, there'll be some other stuff I'll talk about that's not just about sketching, but hopefully will help the viewer out. So I'm going to start with a kind of a light. If I was on location, this is how I might start. I might put a quick little box, but I already know, you know what? I don't want a rectangle here. I'm going to go to a square.
Uh-oh, I think we might have lost our dear friend Paul here. We're experiencing a few technical issues, and I apologize. I can't see the chat right now either. So if you're like, Mandy, ask him this, Mandy, ask him that, I'm working on resolving this situation, but I do apologize for the technical delays. Oh, okay. I think we got it all fixed. All right, I can see your chat now. So while we are waiting for Paul, feel free to ask any questions about art, sketching, anything that we can gear up for Paul when he returns. And I see so many wonderful comments. I'm catching up here because it wasn't visible for a moment. So hello, everybody. Oh, we have people from Sweden here today, from Maine. Thank you, Karen, for the warm welcome. Maryland, Nevada. Oh, that's close to where the Plein Air Convention and Expo is going to be coming up here pretty soon in May. Okay, well, hello, everybody. Okay, now I'm seeing some questions. So we were discussing Paul's outfit. Did you notice he was wearing black pants and then kind of a gray and white patterned shirt? So I hope that he tells us a little bit more about that and how he thinks about values. You know, I find that people think about values very differently depending on the artist, like how they organize values in their head, how they think about values. Even the value scales that they use tend to differ from artist to artist. I can't wait to learn more with Paul as soon as we get him back online here. So some questions to ask Paul. So one question in the chat is, what do you recommend a person with a heavy hand? So we'll definitely make sure to ask him that when he gets back. Okay, I'm not sure how long he is going to be away, but you know, maybe we could have a general conversation about values. What are all of your experiences with values? So, oh, I think we have him back. We missed
Here I
you.
am. That was a commercial break brought to us by our sponsors.
Okay,
And
I'm
we
afraid
have,
the sound is really terrible. Is there something we can do to adjust the sound? Maybe even no mic would be better.
okay, are we better?
No, it's really bad. Like we can barely understand you. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
That's better. All right.
All right. Let's get those technical difficulties out of the way. So as far as what I was wearing, I just want to emphasize how important the values are: white, gray, and black. So nothing, just a little cutie little thing I wanted to do. So this is basically how I start. Even though I'm using a ballpoint pen, I'm going to show you. I'm starting off very light. I'm not terribly committed, but I'm trying to get just some basic shapes down here. So I usually start with, I've got this big group of trees here in the foreground. This is just a mile or so from my home in the San Francisco Bay Area, and what I love is I'm bisecting this roughly, let's say 1/3, 2/3, or 2/5, 3/5, with this nice diagonal, and then the hills have these nice shapes to them as well. So those are just really important, simple things, simple shapes to get you going. Now,
There's a couple of questions for you just
yeah,
before we
yeah.
really get to this. Are you working from a reference or out of your imagination?
No, this is. I'll show you these
Oh, okay, great.
two photos,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just give you this. We have plenty of time. When I took the photograph of this, I'm exposing it for the shadows in the foreground here. The sky gets pretty light because the camera really can't adjust to both of these at the same time. So then I point the camera up and expose it for the clouds, and now I've got much better reference material of with values in the clouds. So
Oh,
those are the two. Yeah, a little, and there's no charge for that whatsoever.
that's
Um,
a $100
yeah, yeah.
right there.
And one of the things when you're painting outdoors, especially with clouds, this is for me, it's the exciting part. And what I'm the foreground here kept changing. It would go half into light, half into shadow, and then it would, and I had to make a decision. What was a stronger um, uh, graphic element? And it was to put all this in shadow. So I don't know why I don't do this in pencil, but it was just a decision of mine to do this in ballpoint pen, and kind of I do a hatching style. And I used to do a little bit more quicker sketch, and now I do a little bit more refined sketch. They can take 3 or 4 minutes, but sometimes they take 10 or 15 minutes. And um, this way, I'm getting more information in here and being more um, just planned with everything that I'm doing. So these sketches are a little bit bigger than I used to do a number of years ago. And things change. You evolve and try different things. So
So
I'm
we have
just
a question in the chat about how many of these sketches do you do for a single painting? Like,
usually one. Yeah, occasion. Yeah, it would be a stretch to say I'll do more than one. If I do two, that's quite unusual. So,
and do you have any suggestions for people? There's some questions in the chat. Like, what if you have a really heavy hand? Do you recommend ballpoint pen for a heavy-handed person?
no, I recommend whatever feels good to you.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Yeah. So usually I used to use a UPS pen, and
Mhm.
like people ask, do you have a magic pen or something? It's like, no, it's people get hung up on a specific color, or a paint or board. And yes, those all make a difference, but most of the time it's the user, not the instrument.
Oh, that's so true. If your eye is trained, the materials
Yeah.
aren't as important. I got in trouble though once because I was teaching and I told my students they could use a crayon and they were like, prove it. And they forced me to do a whole drawing in crayon.
So I'm blocking this in pretty roughly, pretty quickly, but I'm really thinking about values, and trying to get three distinct values. And the nice part is white's already done. You got the white of the paper. Sometimes I put little marks on there just to suggest a texture or something, but by and large, I'm leaving these areas white. And I'm going to give credit to two gentleman, great artist, 𝗫𝗶𝗁𝗁, who used to work at the Pixar Animation Studios, and 𝗕𝗲𝗁𝗁. And I remember I loved sketching anyway, and I couldn't understand why when I was watching these guys, that how come I'm not doing a sketch for every painting? And both of those guys did one for every painting, and it was always just a small thing. And I was always drawing on my board, but not in a sketchbook. So they really inspired me to start doing sketchbook stuff. So that's been a big help. So in this.
For us. So you say a white, a medium, and a dark. Do you think about this before you start, or are you kind of deciding these things as you're going?
No, I look at something, and usually the trees are usually your darkest element. A lot of times I'll have two different values for them if there's light and shadow on it. Obviously, in this sketch, and this you can see in this photo that the trees and the whole foreground are a dark value.
Mhm.
There's a lit hillside here, and there's a distant hillside here that's in shadow. So what I'm looking at here is, here's one shape. There's a band of trees. There's this band of small little um, hillside back here that's in shadow. One of the things that has really helped me, clouds are a moving target, and they can be very difficult. And so what I'll do is, and this usually doesn't take that long, but like sometimes I'll wait until I feel like the clouds are the most interesting, which around here is, usually earlier. Well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it's late in the afternoon, but let's say in this particular early morning painting, the clouds were really great. I might sketch those first,
Mhm.
just because I'm afraid that as the day wears on, they're going to dissipate. So I start with just a fairly light, and then develop it a little bit further. A lot of times in these little pauses I'm doing, I have to think. I'm
You
thinking, well,
are allowed to think. We
yeah,
shall.
yeah, I know. But sometimes you can't think and talk at the same time. So I'm going to put a little value for the sky back here, just so I get a clear idea of where the sky is, and that it's a little, let's say, a little bit darker. And now I'm getting makes the clouds appear
Mm.
a little bit more well defined. The light source is coming. A lot of times I'll do this, have an arrow. So if the sun is hitting, let's say, 2/3 of the cloud, 1/3 is shadow, then I'm trying to capture that. And it just gives me, when I start painting, let's say, 10 minutes from now, 20 minutes from now, this could change quite radically. And that's what my sketch is for. I can look at this, and be able to follow my sketch, and then look up at the sky and follow the colors and
Mm.
shadow patterns that's happening live. So one thing I wanted to say too, um, the main reason I do a sketch is to, is this worth painting? And at the stage in my career, 98% of the time, it is worth it. But I do make bad sketches, or sometimes it just isn't worth it. I'll put 5 or 6 lines down and go, this isn't working, and move on to something else. It doesn't happen a lot, but that's the main goal. And yet I get when somebody says, these are little works of art, and I get it. And I do, I've traded with them, or typically I'll give these away, just because that's just what I do. So this is a fairly,
Very generous. And just so everybody knows, Paul Kratter is going to be a faculty at the plein air convention in Expo coming up in May. So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Go find him at the convention, and make sure that you catch him in a sketch.
and I'm not going to promise everybody. If I have 30 people come up to me and said, you said you would give me a sketch, but the first couple of people that come up and say they watched the show, and if you go to Pace and you tell me that, I will give you one of my sketches.
Oh, that's so generous. I'm
Well,
going to be at Pace, and you're going to be hearing from you, my friend.
yeah, you're going to get a sketch too. So
Oh, you're so
that's now, if Eric were here, I don't know, but he's not here to,
Oh,
he's not going to hear about this,
it's my
hopefully.
lucky day.
Anyway, that's really my quick sketch. And it's a little bit rougher than I normally do. Well, no, I take it back. This is pretty darn typical. But you can see where I might have started off with a rectangular format. For me, if I can't decide if it should be a vertical or horizontal, it almost always is a square for whatever reason.
Oh,
Just the way the shapes work. I'm not a big proponent of going, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 specific shapes. You have to have 5. It has to be an odd number. You can have things in the middle of your page. You can have a horizon line in the middle of your painting. You just have to know you're doing it, and sometimes then you have to balance things off. But those are not mistakes. They're great rules to follow, but they're not absolute. So there's the sketch. A lot of times, if I'll put the location down here. Sometimes something happens. There may be a bird chatting with me, and then I'll come up with a title about something. I'll give you an example. This woman came up and had their horse with them. I don't remember the name of the woman, but the horse's name was Bryce, and I think the painting was called Bryce's Approval, because Bryce liked it. So,
I love it.
so I'll show you what my next step is from here. Now I'm going to stand up and.
Oh, this is wonderful to see this entire process from the very beginning with the photos, through the sketch.
Now I'm going to show you. You probably can't. Can you rotate
Yeah, I
that?
can.
Okay, this is I'm not bragging. Well, yes, I am.
Humble brag incoming.
I know, but these are all filled up sketchbooks that I've had, and that just shows you how prolific I am with doing that process, really virtually for every painting. All right, so now I'm at this stage. The other thing that I do, I always leave this at my feet. Whether I'm outdoors or in the studio, I leave my sketch here. Another thing that's really important, let's say I spent 10 minutes doing that process. Let me get it now again. So rather than redraw this scene on here, and just look at it live at the photo reference, I'm just going to transfer this with my looking at the sketch. And if I still would have the photos up here if I needed to investigate something, but I'm really looking at my sketch to transfer this. I've just spent all this, well, not all this time, 10 minutes, but that's valuable time. And why not use your sketch as the important thing to go by as your guide? And I do make little changes as I look at my sketch. I might go, no, I don't like that as much. One of the other things I didn't mention in here, in this photo, you really can't, you can see it a little bit. There's a fence that comes down here. Uh, Things like that might help tell you the topography of the land.
Mhm.
One of the real important parts of doing a sketch, is editing. And I just didn't want, that was something I didn't really think was terribly necessary. So what part of, obviously the composition, obviously the value, are things that I'm working with when I'm doing my sketch, and then editing. So there's a lot of information that I'm gathering in a very short time period. One of the other things that I do quite often is I'll go out to my location, and I'll walk around. This particular scene I've painted a few times and I know it well, so I knew right where I wanted to go. But a lot of times, a scene might be really interesting, when I get out of the car, I don't get my art kit out. I get my sketchbook and pen and walk around and see, okay, is this the best view? And sometimes you'll even drive. No, it's further down the road, but I like this eucalyptus grove. Um, so I've now transferred this down. So that's the second time I've done this drawing. And obviously it's not terribly detailed, but um, uh, it's just another form of the drawing. So now I'm going to put my sketch down there with a bang.
Is it possible to stabilize the camera angle just a little bit? It's a little hard to follow with the bumps there. Oh, and a little bit higher if possible. Ah, perfect. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to now show you what my next step is, which I'll just take a brown color. And now I'm going to slow down just a little bit more. Oops.
Can you tell us a little bit about the surface you're using to paint?
Oh, yeah. So this is it's a C13 linen panel. It is a portrait linen, and a portrait linen just is a finer weave. At this moment in my life or career, I like a smoother panel. There's also a different primer that I put on here that gives it a little more grip to it. Can I use a product's name on here or not?
If you, I guess Eric's away. Yeah, sure. Tell us.
It's from Gamblin, and it's called Fast Matte. And I just like the grittiness of it, and so the paint grabs a little bit more rather than slide. and it's something that a lot of people might not know, even realize that until you are probably a little bit more advanced. Sometimes these products sometimes you gotta try them, or and just see what you like. It's like anything, panels or different brushes. We all have
Yes.
a feel for it. Um, Obviously this program's about sketching, but now we're painting. I tend to hold my brush back here, um, for drawing, and I've seen Brian Mark Taylor kind of draw this way as well. I like He's Brian Mark Taylor. I'm Paul Anthony Kratter when we're together. So some simple shapes here. This is this is an 1114 panel. I want to make it an 1111, and I'll just cut down this panel layer to make make it into a square.
Is that why you prefer painting on panels, that they're more adjustable?
No, I don't work on stretch canvas. I know some people do, for larger works. I don't like the canvas bouncing. So,
Mm.
but these are portable, easy. You can get these wet box carriers for trips and whatnot.
It's so funny how our artist personalities are, we can't fight them. Like, I love a
It-
bouncy canvas. I'm
oh,
like a big
you.
house, like the bouncier, the
Let's-
better. But,
If it works, obviously, if it works for you, there's all these rules
yeah,
and really they're guidelines. We just whatever works for you is what works for you.
sure.
Um, so even though I'm pretty much following my pencil drawing, I'm thinking about the shapes that I'm making. So I have done this drawing 3 times, my sketch, the pencil drawing, and now this. That's how important the drawing is for me. And a lot of my friends start painting right on the board. That's because they know what they're doing. And I know what I'm doing, but I still that's for me, the sketch is the most important part of the drawing, the painting process.
Is it possible to get even closer on the canvas by chance? Oh, yay. Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry, we're
Okay,
very needy today on on our side.
so I didn't know how much time I'm going to have. So
You have
I'm going
about
to
20 minutes to work.
Okay, so
Yep.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this as if we are outdoors, and I'm really just going to try to finish the sky because that's the process that I would do when we're outdoors. So I'm going to do a quick and the whole reason for uh, doing the clouds first is if I think they're going to change the most, that's something I need to capture now. So,
Can you tell
uh,
us a little bit about the paints that you're using?
yes, there are. This is very. You guys got to really pay attention to this. These are pretty colors in this. I really, I'm being a kind of a smart aleck, but
Yes.
I do. It's funny. I've taken yellow off my palette. I have India yellow orange,
Oops.
and why? Because it's pretty color. If I want to cool it down, I add white to it, and I
Mhm.
tend to paint more on the warm side. Most people would say, no, you need a cool yellow here. I make it work, So I'm breaking a rule. The rest of these are cad orange, cad red, alizarin crimson, a warm blue, ultramarine, a cool blue, cobalt blue, dioxazine purple or violet, depending on the brand name. I do have King's blue. It's just a modifier. I make a cool gray out of it. I don't need it. I do have brown on here only to do a quick brown color, but usually I just mix up my own earth tones. And then I love sap green. So let's just start with kind of getting,
And
this
do you
is a,
put any additives in your paint, or are you just using pure pigment?
I'm just using pure pigment. There's a little bit of terp to move the paint around. Um, and I used to use liquid, but I don't anymore. And that doesn't mean I won't go back to it. Sometimes I use it for glazing. Um, I'm going to make this cloud in the foreground. No, I'm not. I'm going to make this one down here a little bit darker, as if it's in shade just a little bit. Don't want to go too dark in here. Let's see. That's pretty close. So I'm working at a fairly fast pace because I want to get as much done as I can. But I would do this on location because I want to capture as quickly as I can this moving target. I had a student once say to me, she was really frustrated with her painting, and she goes, "I just feel like I'm drawing with my brush." And I said, she wanted to paint with her brush, and I said, "You are supposed to draw with it. That's the whole point." And I get what she wanted to be a little bit more painterly, but I was trying to convince her that it's mark making, and they can be dabs and this and that, but
Absolutely.
you are drawing with it.
Well, there's a lot of love for you in the chat, and some of your students are here and recommending your workshops and courses. So I
Oh, thank you.
encourage everybody to check those out, and definitely don't miss Paul at the PACE convention coming up here in May.
You might get a sketch from me.
You
I'm not.
might, if you're one of the early finders of Mr. Paul
Yeah.
Kratter here.
So I'm now trying to get all these shadow shapes in here first. One thing you don't want to do is get 50-50 of anything. A tree that's 50% shadow, 50% light. The sky here, I'm trying to keep, 1/3, 2/3 clouds, 1/3 blue sky. And it just keeps it more interesting than, doing 50-50. And like I said, too, the rules are great to follow, but that doesn't always mean, um, that they can't be broken. Good example, Edgar Payne, when he painted a lot of the French boats, a lot of times the horizon line was right in the middle of the painting, and yet they were beautiful because he had all these dynamic um, diagonals and interesting shapes to counterbalance that somewhat static idea of something being in the middle.
Mm. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of rules, but that really it comes down to good design, and that
Yeah,
any rule is just a suggestion.
that's exactly right.
Can we get the camera just a little higher? Oh, there we go. Okay.
My easel's bouncing around a little bit, so I'll try to keep it towards the viewer.
So you have a bouncy canvas after all.
No, not a the easel's bouncy. That's
Oh,
different.
okay. All right. So
That's different than the
oh,
yeah. Oh, you
bouncy.
were trying to catch me in a lie.
I just wanted to sass you a little bit, Paul.
Yeah, no, I deserve it.
Hmm. So what did you tone your canvas with?
Just an ochre color. Like I said, I tend to paint warm, so I want the that yellow ochre to kind of come through in certain places. And
Mhm.
it's interesting. Somebody came by and I was painting, and I was painting at some trees, and I did not paint the sky going all the way up to the edge of the um, uh, to the trees, and so there was this ochre glow around some areas. And this was not an artist; it was just a passerby that knew art. Says, "You're going to leave that, right?" And I'm thinking, "No, I wasn't going to," but it worked. So we're you can be influenced by a lot of things. It doesn't.
It's so true. You know, my ex-husband could always like point out exactly the problem in a painting. He never had the knowledge to tell me how to fix it, but he was
Yeah.
always right about like, why is this wonky or whatever? And I'm like,
Yeah.
ah.
It's funny, especially with even though I don't do portraits, we all know, or human figures, we all know what a human looks like. And
Mhm.
so to have somebody come up and not critique your work, but make a comment, they kind of have, I won't say they have the right to do that, but if something looks off, they're probably right.
So there's a question in the chat. Can
Yeah.
you give us a kind of a overview of your process for painting the sky? Like you started the sky first because it might be moving around, but like
Yes.
what are your stages of painting a sky?
So it really is, it starts with a sketch, and I almost always try to get the shadows in first. And I'm going to get to the I'm thinking here as I don't love this color, but it's close enough. Um, and then you try to get the light side in, and then try to get the blue sky, if that's what it's going to be. And I'm somewhat understated with my color. Um, but like I'm usually trying to get soft edges too. And my wife is also an artist, and she used to be a background artist at Disney many, many years ago. And she was, your clouds are too hard edged. It's like,
Mm.
they really, I see that. And she goes, no, I'm right. You should know I'm right. Happy, happy life, happy wife, happy life. So, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to just get a little bluer and darker color here. This is just value. Uh, okay, that's a little better. Not my favorite, but
There's
it's
also
a
questions about your Porshad box and also a request if we can see the palette and the full canvas at the same time. I don't know if that's possible with our angles, but I will throw the request out there.
okay. So now can you see the palette?
No, but we have a good view of the painting. Okay, maybe we could just spend a little time further back and then a little time further up, and we'll try to satisfy everybody. I think at some point we're just going to have to make a decision about the angle. What a great color. Can you tell us what you mixed for that blue?
Yeah. And I'm gonna be a kind of a smart
Pretty
aleck.
colors. Did you mix?
I won't use a swear word, but I don't know if I have one paper towel that I've used, and of course it's all over my hands now. So whatever gray color I had in here, yes, I'm wiping it down, but not that much. So there's a cobalt blue, there's a little bit of purple in this white. I grayed it down with an orange. And so I kind of have, it's not a muddy color, but it's it's not a pure color either, because I like subtlety in colors. And
Mm.
um, one and I don't understand this in photography, or when you get something printed, I don't know why almost all skies in, let's say in the middle of the day, they just go blue. It's just like
Right.
the most average looking. So when I'm using my reference material, this is a little bit more amped up blue, but
Mhm.
it's a color, it's colors that you don't usually see in your they're not very true, whereas some of the greens in here are, I can match those and I'm still going to change them a bit, but it's much more true to life. I'm going to make this blue the value and warm this up, just adding a little yellow orange to this. And these are small little changes, but they add depth to the painting.
Mm.
And you see, I'm only using one brush. This is a pretty small little painting, but I'm using a number 8 uh, bright. I tried using what is flats or
Bird
just
or
a
yeah.
short bit, but I just didn't like them.
The
Okay,
subtlety
so
of the color is really beautiful from, how you changed it just a little bit.
thank you. You're just saying that because we're live and you're
Yeah, Amadee's gonna have to mute me so I can say what I really think. No. Uh,
Thank you, though. It's like to have fun. I mean, really, I'm obviously putting, good material, hopefully good material out there, but it's fun. Even when you're doing a bad painting. I was out with a good buddy, 𝗕𝗏𝗁, a couple of years ago, and he's doing a crappy painting, and I no, yours isn't very good, but mine's worse, and
oh,
we just had a good time, and I do think it grounds you. When you think you're somebody, and there's nothing wrong with being proud of a painting and thinking, this is, I don't think I can paint much better than this. That there's nothing wrong with that.
mhm.
Um, but it's good to be grounded too and have your moments where you're going, okay, that was fun. It's not very good. I'm just gonna destroy it or wipe it down. That's okay too.
Yeah,
It's this is not science. It's art.
right. I find that sometimes my students, when they're learning, they don't always know the difference of when their painting is going really well or really bad. Like it's one minor error and then they trash the whole painting.
Yeah. Sometimes that's. I'll give you an example. I had a painting where I had a small little corner of a shadow coming off some eucalyptus trees, and I just was it. I spent like 20 minutes on something that it should have taken half of that. And so what I did is, and this I think helps. I scraped it down. I worked on the rest of the paint, the areas that I like best in the painting, so that I was thinking, okay, this is a worthwhile painting, except for this area I scraped down. And then I went back and spent maybe 10 minutes instead of the 20. And it
Mm.
was like it just flowed so much better. So,
Oh, that's
you know,
great
the
advice. Work on the
um,
parts you love most, if
yeah.
you're struggling with an area.
So, and the point there is, if you just go to the area that you don't like at all, um, are you going to keep making the same mistake? And you may not be able to rescue the painting, but you may, if you um, like the rest of the painting, you go, okay, this is worth continuing to work on, and that's the attitude that I have. So
Yeah.
I'm working back a little bit more, a
You
little bit more in the blue sky. Usually, obviously we have a time restraint here, but
we have
just
about 4 minutes, my friend.
formal. Okay, so I don't love the purplish here, but the value is about right. So I can do. I'm going to put this blue hill back here. The other thing that I do, if there's a lot of atmosphere, I'll work back to front.
Oh.
So uh, and that way you can match and go, okay, this, I'm not, rarely am I going to have a cloud that's in shadow that's going to be darker, rarely,
Mhm,
than a distant hill that's in shadow. So
mhm.
value wise, and this is a little brighter purple for me, but it's not, the value is pretty good. That's much more of a key, is to get the value right, and you can always adjust the color. So now I've got this next level, and let's bring it down across here. Now I can quickly, let's put some, just do the next level. Um, I won't have much time. And just drawing a little bit more, again, just drawing with the brush. Let's put a brighter light that's hitting. Oh yeah,
I love a
now
late
we're talking.
down. Yeah,
Now we're talking.
that's the joy of painting right there.
Yeah. You go, okay, now you go, all right, there's, it's, it needs work, but I'm on the right track. Tell me when we get to kind of the end and all?
We're kind of at the end.
Okay, so let me just show you something. This is just kind of magic, but I'm going to go in front of the camera here, and I'm going to quickly finish the painting because I'm really fast. And there's the finish. It is magic, right? So it's quite different, but I thought this would be fun just to say, here's what if I had time, here's the finished painting. I did go, obviously it's quite different, but you get the idea of this being in shadow. But here we have, obviously this was today's, and that the painting was done a couple of months ago, but you get the idea. And
wonderful to see it all the way through, like to see how you started it with your sketch and how you built it up. And I love this little magic whimsical moment at the end. It was a big reveal. How delightful. Well, Paul Kratter, it was such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thank you. I hope you all got something out of it. Is there a chat on this that I can answer questions to, or?
There is, and I believe if you go to the YouTube channel for Art School Live, that you can answer questions there.
Okay, I will certainly do that. People, even if I don't give you a sketch, if you come to Pace and just say hi, you saw me, I'm happy to sit down, chat with you. You can even show me some of your work or something. But I'm very easy to get to know and love to meet new people. So
that's very generous of you.
Yeah.
And do make sure to follow Paul at 𝗕𝗶𝗁𝘁𝗁 on Instagram. So that's at 𝗕𝗏𝗁𝗁. Sorry, not critter.
That's all right. I'm a critter at heart.
Flip. I don't know. So it's his last name first and then first name on Instagram. And also he has wonderful videos on painttube.tv. So he has 3 videos there. One is mastering landscapes. Definitely check it out, especially after today's demo. The second one is landscape painting and design. And the third is mastering trees. And I saw in the chat that many people have been following Paul Kratter on these videos on the PaintTube TV and got really great results from them. So definitely check those out.
Nice to meet you, Mandy, and thank you, everybody. Happy painting. Do your sketches.
Thank you so much, Paul. It was delightful having you.
Thank you.
We do have some gifts for those of you joining us today. So you can download this free video, 201 Essential Plein Air Painting Tips. Go to pleinairmagazine.com/ebook. If you haven't signed up for the Plein Air Convention and Expo, if you want to go hassle Paul for one of those sketches, make sure you do so. Pace is on May 19th through 23rd, and you don't want to miss it. And let's watch the short video.
Every artist deserves a chance to discover what they're truly capable of. This is yours. Join the world's top painters for 5 days of immersive learning, creativity, and connection in the most picturesque regions of Lake Tahoe and Reno.
I enjoy the scenery, I enjoy the locations, and I enjoy meeting people.
With hands-on coaching, 5 stages, plus daily painting sessions and a community of passionate creators, you'll grow your skills like never before.
It's a wonderful experience. I mean, it's a wealth of information. I got personal instruction from 𝗕𝗶𝗿𝘀𝗁. Do you believe that? I'm so excited.
It's just awesome to hear other people talk about painting.
At Pace, you're not just learning, you're connecting. Build lifelong friendships with like-minded artists who share your passion. This is where ideas spark, creativity flourishes, and your next breakthrough begins.
I would say just go for it.
As long as I'm living and able, I will come to these. Just sign up and go.
Don't wait. Seats are limited. Join us at the Plein Air Convention and Expo in Lake Tahoe and Reno. Secure your spot now.
Oh, so exciting. I can't wait to see all of you there. So everyone, don't forget to subscribe to this channel at Art School Live on YouTube and at Eric Rhodes on Instagram. Again, my name is 𝗦𝗍𝗫𝗁. I'm the director of the School of Atelier Arts. You can follow me on Instagram at 𝗏𝗠𝐵𝑓𝑖�ՆEARTIST. And also check out we stream live every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you'd like to see more of me, you can catch me every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Lovely having all of you. And I look forward to another great painting journey tomorrow on Art School Live.